RAID was one of the first NGOs that started to work on the whole issue of corporate accountability. That is to say that companies that engage in unethical, illegal or human rights abuses should be held to account, wherever they're operating.
And part of what we do at RAID is to ensure that if there's no judicial remedy back in the country where the abuses took place, that those companies are held to account where they're registered.
This is the large Gakona pit, which is now where the mine is going underground. We do very detailed, in-depth, in-country research, sometimes spending years investigating allegations of human rights abuses. So this is the road along a mountain ridge that goes from Tarime and leads down into the valley, and the mine is in this area here. It was brought to our attention that there were serious problems going on around the North Mara mine. The North Mara mine is a gold mine. It's operated by a UK-listed company, now called Acacia Mining. Previously it was called African Barrick Gold, and it's 64% owned by the Canadian parent Barrick Gold Corporation, and it's one of the largest gold companies in the world.
RAID has documented at least 22 deaths, unlawful killings at North Mara Mine since 2014.
There have been other cases of rapes of women by mine security or police, and there have also been over 69 cases of young men who've been horribly maimed as a result of either going onto the mine to gather rocks, trying to eke out a living from getting small particles of gold, what is often waste rock, and then getting shot or beaten, or else people who are just bystanders who are crossing a road and are caught up in some skirmish with mine police chasing so-called intruders.
Sasa kuna sehemu tu tulikuwa tunaenda kufukua, yaani ile ya kufukua tu, tunatafuta pale vimao vile tunauza, ndio unajipatia mahitaji. Sasa wale mapolisi nao walikuwa wakituona hivi wanatufuata pale. Sasa unajua kawaida ya kina mama mbio zetu huwa ni kidogo, kuta vijana wanakimbia wanatuacha, wanaenda kuweka kwenye gari, wanaenda kutendea vitendo ambavyo sivyo.
We have found the violence around North Mara to be much worse than anything than we've seen in comparable mine sites in Katanga and Congo. And that's very, very unusual, and we put it down to the fact that where the mine is located, it's in the midst of 7 villages, so the proximity to people is too close for such a big operation. The mine has taken a very militarised approach to protecting its installations, and so a lot of the violence is due to these police who seem to be able to act with total impunity. In 2016, in February and March, the government set up a commission of inquiry. For the first time ever, it acknowledges how many people may have been killed at the mine. The report has never been made public, it's never been reported back to Parliament. Acacia have responded by saying they don't accept that there have been 65 deaths, that the Commission's remit was only to gather complaints, they weren't there to verify facts, and that any instance involving the police was not their responsibility. It was a matter for the police and the Attorney General.
Acacia Mining has hired the police to provide security for the mine and for the mining site. As such, it is the responsibility of Acacia Mining to also ensure that those police behave lawfully, legally, and appropriately. If they don't, yes, the police are responsible for those abuses, but so is Acacia Mining because they've hired them. So they need to ensure that any police officers who commit abuses are held to account and are brought to book for any kinds of unlawful killings, torture, or rape.
Siku hii ilitokea sereka na maaskari na maintruda kufukuzana ndani. Nilibainika kukamatwa. Nilipigwa sana na maaskari. Waliponda sana hadi hatua ya kuzimia. Daktari alipokuja, alipoangalia x-ray yangu akaniambia kwamba wewe umevunjika uti wa mgongo pingili mbili. Matibabu yako ni kulala. Kwa hiyo hautatembe. Nilia sana kwa uchungu sababu nilikuwa sikuzoea kukaa. Tarehe 3 ikanibidi niende mahusiano mgodini ili kuweza kupeleka lalamiko langu wapate kunisaidia. Kufika pale nilipeleka lalamiko langu, walichonipatia ni fomu. Wakaniahidi kwamba ndani ya siku 30 tutakupigia simu, la sivyo tutakufuata. Lakini kuanzia kipindi hicho hadi leo hii sijaona wamenipigia simu wala kunifuata.
The victims of the violence at the North Mara mine have had no access to justice. There's been no formal investigation into the very serious and ongoing human rights problems that have been reported over the last 10 years at the mine. We know of not a single case of any prosecution of any member of the police, nor do we know of any case of Acacia. The mining company has not revealed how many, if any, of its own employees it's dismissed or taken administrative procedures against.
Just because it's happening in a remote location, a location that most people would associate with luxury safaris and beautiful African animals, doesn't mean we can overlook the suffering of the local population there. We want to right that wrong and ensure it's a level playing field across the board, and that victims have the right to justice whether they live in Africa or whether they live in the United States or in the UK.
Kijana wangu alikuwa ameenda huko Barrick Mine. Sasa aliuawa na maaskari kwa kupigwa risasi.